Welcome to episode 77 of CMD Towers, Brews, and Builds. I'm Mr. Common number 5, and my fellow host, who has a sign in his bathroom that states, quote, "You are now Lord of the Void, Big Tuck."
How did you know? It's pretty much when you flush my toilet, it just opens up a direct portal to hell, which is why I don't flush it when I'm only peeing, saving the earth one flush at a time. Okay, here we go. This is a shower thought I had earlier today. Hey, angel, demon, and dragons, and angelesses, demonesses, and dragonesses out there in the multiverse.
Woof.
Oh, believe me, I got one later that's gonna make your head spin. So buckle up. Hold on. That dip's still on. Time for reload here. Mr. Combo, hello. How are you, sir?
I'm good. While you're sorting out your life over there.
You got a fat new haircut that looks very good, by the way.
Yeah. Got the haircut yesterday.
Was that PH?
And because Venmo was a very strange thing, I already knew that you were going to come in with a fat new haircut.
What can I say? I like to publicize what I spend my money on to the world.
Dude, did you see, I don't know, I know you're a Venmo cat out there, but there was like a report where, because you can access the Venmo it's an open API, so anyone can access it, and someone pulled all the things that mentioned grass, weed, kush, public statements on Venmo, and there was like hundreds of thousands of them from the US.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man, who knew that Venmo was the official bank?
It's legal, right?
Well, yeah.
Not everywhere.
It's
not everywhere, but enough places for 100,000
yeah, but
people to post about it.
Like, let's be clear. If you're Venmoing someone money for weed, you're probably not thinking who's going to be reading it. Or if it's on private.
You've never Venmoed somebody for a beer before?
Yeah, I have, but that's legal.
Suck it! ATF is on your ass.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways.
So anyway, I know you had a very busy day of budgeting, so that's exciting.
Yeah. So since the last time we recorded, we actually did go tour that venue that we talked about, the Kaufman Center. Absolutely gorgeous. And so we've started working on the budget. And oh my God, I could buy so many Black Lotuses at the cost of this wedding.
Listen, redacted name, fiance. I would love to get married, but I can't. I'm making an investment on our future.
Yeah, I might as well. Good God, I could buy the Power
Dogecoin.
9, a couple of them. I could own Dogecoin for the cost of this wedding.
You can own Dogecoin for the cost of a nickel.
And in recent news, local Kansas City resident Mr. Combo number 5, yes, that is his real name, recently became the sole proprietor and owner of Dogecoin.
Yes, if you're wondering, he is single. Yeah. He just got divorced before he got married.
Shoot.
No, so
that's even more impressive.
That's been super stressful. Just seeing all the dollar signs and all the things that you have to pay for.
You got a whole nother 18. You got a whole nother 18 months of that.
18 to 19 months of it. So I got plenty of time to save up, and we're going to do what we want to do. The only thing I will say, and Tuck, you'll appreciate this being a Game of Thrones nerd, we are going to have a quartet playing during the ceremony and dinner. And I for sure about 30 minutes into dinner, once all the tables have been served, I'm going to have the quartet play Reigns of Castamere from Game of Thrones and just see how many people burst out laughing.
Well, I was going to say, I still have the melodica if you need to make it a quintet for the Game of Thrones theme. So I can smuggle that right in. It's got a strap and the whole 9 yards.
But no, that's pretty much my big news.
Yeah.
You know, me and Tuck, as we talked about last week, we did binge our Mandalorian season 1 and season 2. I made it all the way to the last 2 episodes. Couldn't do it. Passed out hard. Woke up to what I thought was still Mandalorian, but it was actually X-Men. And so don't ask me how I got confused there. And I was like, Tuck, why are you leaving? Wow. It's not over. And he's like, dude, it's been over. I just put this on for you.
Oh, yeah. Also, man, no joke. So we took a completely legal CBD supplement gummy thing. Yep. I'm not going to lie to you, Mr. Combo. I think I was still tripping off that the next day. I was
really?
Dude, I went in, I slept in.
On CBD?
Yeah, I slept in. I didn't do anything. I watched 4 movies. It was amazing. But that night at board game night, I was just I was toast from it. So I can't do it.
So Squee, what it is, and I think you and I just did a half, right? Or did we do a whole?
Well, you wanted to do holes, and I was like, let's just split one and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's right. And so Mr. Squee. Yes, I called you Mr. Squee now because you are the
That's
expert.
Mr. Big Squee, sir. Mr. Big Squee.
He's the
So
best
I
of
went to
both.
the hookah shop here in town, and they were selling, they have their CBD cabinet. I kind of ignored it because I don't believe in CBD. I think it's a lot of hocus pocus.
Sure.
Just more because no one could really tell me definitively what
As
it
he's
does.
passed out on the couch, can't even watch the show anymore.
But what it is now there's this Delta 8 stuff that's out there. And so
Sounds dicey.
Yeah,
Sounds like
so-
an attack force.
well, it's basically this component within the marijuana plant or the hemp plant, because it's all the same thing. And it's the non-psychoactive piece of THC. And so, there's this whole thing about it, and it's absolutely completely legal anywhere hemp is legal or CBD. And I told the guy, I was like, hey, I'm looking for these things to help me sleep. Would this actually do it? And he's like, absolutely, man. You could probably just do a half or a quarter. And so I was like, all right. And so
I'm a big guy. I'll do 3.
Yeah. I was like, Tuck, hey, perfectly legal. Let's give it a shot once we get our pizza. So we did a half. And I honestly think that, I don't know if it's that or the Giant's milk.
I was just going to say.
Because we drank a lot of that.
It's
combo of both.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if it was the half bottle of Sailor Jerry's, the 6 glasses of Giant's milk, or the CBD that knocked us out cold. But I made it through. And boy, am I glad I did. But I did have to look up.
All right, well,
I did have to look up the last 2 episodes on Wikipedia because they were kind of a blur.
I'll have to try this Delta 8, as you say. I've tried CBD in the past, and I don't know.
Now we're just CBD tower.
I've smoked some weed before in my life, and the CBD did not help at all.
The one that I liked is back in when I used to do a little bit of the Juul action. They had CBD pods for the Juul, so if I took 2 puffs of that an evening, I would be sitting on the couch and then just be just falling asleep.
Maybe I just had bad CBD. I don't know, or maybe I'm just used to weed or whatever.
I think now I'm not gonna say I've seen you do anything illegal, but in the basement there has been a pipe involved many a time.
Hey, baby.
It's just a one-shot hookah. That's
it's weird. He gets a pipe, and then he doesn't get crack rocks. He gets dragon tears. If you guys remember those from elementary school, and he tries to smoke those. And we're like, Squee, that doesn't work that way. And he's like, mind your business.
Dragon tears. What?
Smoking dragon tear rocks,
Yeah,
baby.
you don't remember the dragon
tear
tears?
rocks.
Yeah,
the little. You probably have some at your house. The little counter, the blue,
they're
and red, and
see-through,
clear,
an opal
and
shape,
yellow, and
is it like
little glass beads, basically? With the flat bottom and a round top?
No, I have no.
That sounds like a rap song.
I have no idea.
Wow. Well, Big Tuck, while you're trying to sort out your life right now, how are you? How's the week been? You still haven't moved yet.
No, I haven't. But update there for those who care, which is no one except my parents. My friends. Friend of the show, Scooty Shuffles, and his lovely bride are going to look at some lofts, and I will tell you that they are completely lofted with 10-foot ceilings. They don't have the complete walls, so I'm gonna have to figure out some way to keep my voice down when we're recording this on Thursday nights, or else I'm probably gonna get some complaints.
We could just get you a new microphone.
So then I could just be like, hey, welcome to CMD Tower. What? Did I do that? Is that me?
Nope. This is me. These are dragon tears. These do not look familiar to you.
Oh, yeah. They're
Can't
you
see
put them
anything.
an aquarium.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Okay. But no.
We use them as counters in Pokemon.
Right.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's good. I'm also going through, I decided to do 2 of the most stressful things in my life within 1 calendar month, which is move across the country and also buy a new car. But I think I actually found it. So I went and looked at it today. We're going through a little bit of rigmarole with it, but I'm hoping that that will be the one to work out with. So that's very exciting. It's a 2016 Toyota 4Runner.
Oh my God, you and these Forerunners.
I'm sticking with it, baby.
How creative.
I'm sticking with them.
How creative.
It was the first car I ever had until redacted friend Mary Dolliver drove it and broke it on the highway to Topeka. If she hadn't done that, I probably could still sell it, dude. I'm looking at things where they're 2002.
I like how you bought the off-brand Nissan Pathfinder and you don't like it as much, so you're going back to the 4Runner.
It's trash. So anyways, I'm hoping that I'm doing a lot better job of managing my stress and trying not to put time parameters on things that don't need to.
Good.
But it'd be really nice if I could get those 2 things knocked out this next week. I'd be feeling a little less nervous about the whole thing. So, but also, actually, and this is like the antithesis of what most people would say, I got assigned 2 clients this week, and I'm actually really enjoying work now. So
there you go. You actually are working now.
Yeah.
I know, and most people, I was joking with my dad, being like I was on the gravy train, literally just getting paid to not work, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. Am I going to get fired? And now, like, I'm actually doing work. Like, this is amazing.
Oh man. Well, hey guys, thanks for tuning into the episode. And as always, with that monolith commentary is Squee McGee from the Rich Chaos Records studio, aka the Thunderdome. How you doing?
Ooh, I might have to add that to the chalkboard. I like that.
Dominant.
Thunderdome. yeah, that's good. I'm doing all right. Physically exhausted. Yesterday at work, took 17,000. I started tracking my steps at work just to see how many steps I take while working a normal shift bottling. 17,500 steps yesterday. And that was before band practice even started. So as soon as I got home, another 2 hours of standing and playing music and jumping around and doing all of that. Woo! Normal days like 11, 12,000, no big deal. Yesterday had it in for me, and then today had it in for me. I took another 14,000. Anyways, I am stepped out. This is all in steel-toed boots, by the way. So my knees are I can only assume.
Thanks, Casey Bierko.
There's probably more steel in your boot than you have kneecap.
I would assume so at this point.
Eventually, they'll just take it out of the boot and just put it right in the knee, like once he leaves.
He just slowly turns into IG-88.
No, other than that, I'm doing well. Enjoying the longer days. I finally get off work and I can go out and have a beer in some sunlight.
Yeah.
And not feel like I just missed the entire day. For those playing the home game, I don't have any windows in the warehouse. So when I go to work at 8:30 until I get off at like 4:30 or 5, I generally, other than lunch, do not know what time of day it is or what's going on at all, because it could be snowing, could be raining, it could be a tornado, there could be
it could be a tornado hailfire.
Well, I would really hope if there was a tornado in Kansas City, the brewery would know about it. Like, I don't think we get our
They might not come and tell us, though. They'll be like, look, we got to get the bottles out.
we can't waste any more time. There is something funny where now that we're doing everything through Zoom and everything, and for those who don't know, the first Wednesdays of the month in Kansas are the tornado siren drills. So there will be times where I'm on a conference call on Zoom or whatever, and you just hear this. It sounds like Silent Hill's about to appear, and people are just like, "Is your fire alarm going off?" I'm like, no, it's just a tornado drill. They're like, okay. So about this slide,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's all I got for the week. I'm gonna finish it up and sold some cards. Actually, made about $700. Well, didn't make total profit, but did make a lot of money off of them. Sold about $700 worth of cards from Ye Old Box of Gold, and we're gonna put that into some good use.
Good.
Well, if you guys want to know more ways to support the CMD Tower team, the content we put out, and squeeze addiction to boxes of gold, you should head over to our sponsor, level1gameshop.com. They sell everything you need from a tabletop.
Box O Gold. Unbox.
Tabletop accessories, like dice, playmats, sealed board games, everything you need from a nerd perspective. Trust me, I'm a nerd, and I always spend money when I go in there. But if you would actually like to put dollars in the pocket so we can like upgrade Big Tuck's equipment, we could start doing like gameplay videos, which is a huge focus for us to try to figure out. Head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/CMD Tower. We have 4 different pledge levels. The rewards vary from just getting access into the Discord and getting a shout out, which we got to new patrons that we've had for like 4 weeks, and I really suck because I kept forgetting to put it in my notes. So thank you so much.
We love you, we promise.
Joe Conboy, I wonder if he is also a con artist.
Oh, a grifter, if you will.
That is suspect. The name's suspect.
Sus.
And Josh Grimm, I wonder if his dad is the Grim Reaper.
Ooh, do you think his favorite card is Grim Tutor?
Oh,
God, the dad jokes are terrible. But anyways, Joseph and Josh, aka con artist and Grim Reaper, thank you for being a part of the patron community. Welcome to the collective. I hope you guys have gotten into the Discord, and spread it to your friends and family. Infect the minds.
Do it.
But that's just the base kind of perks you get with our Patreon, everyone. For our, all the way up to the top tier, you get a ton of swag from us, from coins to tokens to playmats to sleeves. And all of that investment, like I said, goes into either getting net new equipment, getting you guys more giveaways. We just always want to try to give back to the community as much as we can. If you can't help out from a monthly perspective, but maybe you see on Mr. Bever's stream an awesome Squee McGee coin being used, or maybe on MTG Lexicon, a great CMD Tower playmat, head over to our store, cmdtower.com/merch. We sell all of our merchandise on there, and I swear I will give away a Jace the Mind Sculptor once we sell all the crap that's sitting in my basement. Foil, alternated by the artist. It's an artist proof. It even does real magic. I'm giving away magic.
24 karat gold plating on the back.
And this is the time to get ahead of the Squee coin spike. I'm telling you, it will happen.
Squee coin starting at $5. We're going to 100, baby. We're going to 100. Actually, this is how we sell all of the Squee coins. We'll get them out of your basement by making our cryptocurrency Squee coin, and then Squee coin will be sold, and the only way you can have Squee coin and prove it is if you have one of Squee's coins. A very finite resource that'll be worth lots.
Squee coin sounds like some weird scam that I'd hear about, like when I'm in China. Like, oh, do you want to buy Squee coin? And it's like, what's Squee coin? Oh, Squee coin's the greatest thing. Squee coin does all these things. It's Squee coin. It's metal. It's heavy. But what does it get me? It gets you happiness. And it's like, oh, okay.
No, it's even better. It's even themed for the stock market, because you're either bearish and you're sitting tight, or you're bullish and you get up and fight.
I like it.
We're already there. It's already done. The idea's wrapped up. It's sealed in a bow. Squee coin, boys, make it happen. The Discord, I know y'all got juice. Let's do this.
Well, if you guys can't help us out from a financial perspective, just share the content you're watching or listening to, because every little bit of an interaction from the collective does help. And of course, big shout out to Pink Royal for the music provided at the beginning and the end. And a big thank you to our video editor, T-Coats, at t.coats on Twitter. Tyler does all the video editing you guys see for us around Brews and Builds on YouTube. Puts a lot of work into it. So go give it a watch. Give it a thumbs up, thumbs down even. Give some suggestions. We're always looking to make improvements, because we've even done it because when I used to do video editing, it was not even glorified. It was a simplified PowerPoint presentation. And now at least we got a fun moving background. And hey, stay tuned to the end so you guys can get details on how you could win the February giveaway from Level 1. So Brews and Builds is our deck tech series. Since we conquered the path to 32, we have moved on to the endless themes that EDH could bring us. Each month will be a new theme, and we correlate how these decks are constructed similar to how a beer is brewed. So we broke it down into 4 different categories. The first one's rampant setting your board state. That's grain.
Yes, and grains are the foundation of a beer. They include both base malts and specialty malts, usually about 60-40 ratio. This helps with the color, the taste, and most importantly, the alcohol content of the beer. Decks always need ways to grow, stabilize, and ramp in your bigger threats, and just like a grain profile, they're usually a mix of staples and specialty cards.
Then how does your board interact with all of your opponents? That's called hops.
And hops give the beer its patented bitterness and herbal floral flavors. They grow in a variety of strands and help distinguish subcategories like IPAs. Our hop choices help clear and interact with the board so your deck can do ultimately what it wants.
And then we have, how does your deck actually close out and win games? That's yeast.
And yeast are living microorganisms that eat the sugar from the grain and poop out alcohol and CO2. It adds alcohol content to carbonation. Without the yeast, you'd be drinking flat sugar water. And without yeast cards, your deck wouldn't meet the goal of actually winning the game.
And then we have shenanigans. This can be pet cards, random synergies. Unfortunately, Alter the Brood is not in this deck, but it could have a home. Just kind of things that we want to have in the deck that are fun, but maybe don't fit a particular theme. We call that spice.
And not every beer has them, but spices and other additives help separate a normal stock beer from a specialty one. Could be the pepper that turns a stout into a jalapeno stout, or it could be the addition of orange peel that turns this Sun King Brewery Keller Haze into a fruity IPA. Not every deck has something that makes it pop, but if it does, is where we generally talk about it.
And then to wrap up the episode, we have a bottle capping. These are going to be big Tuxinized cuts and adds to the deck that are going to be under $5, under $50, and a no budget recommendation. We just can't talk about those mana-only lands. No. So without further ado, let's get brewing. We are still on this Commander is everything to the deck theme. And now we're on to one of the more commonly known legends, Kaalia the Vast, and yes, we're talking about my deck, Kaalia and her Army of Doom.
So
I know, Big Tuck, this is one of your least favorite decks of mine. not because of the power level. I think just because of the boringness. Would that be accurate?
Yes, I was gonna say it's not yours. This is just one of my least favorite decks that people play en masse, which we'll get to when we get down to the breakdown.
So why don't you go ahead and read its color identity and what the card does, and I'll kind of describe how I got to this command.
Sure. So Kaalia the Vast is a legendary creature, human cleric. It's a 2/2 mythic sitting around $11. And for colorless and Mardu, that is white, black, and red. You get a 2/2 flyer, but more importantly, whenever Kaalia the Vast attacks an opponent, you may put an angel, demon, or dragon creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that opponent. I'll have my revenge if I have to call on every force from above and below. I will say that the artwork in this is actually incredible because it's it's a redhead. B, she seems pretty svelte with perhaps a large caboose, and she has both the wings of a dragon and an angel. So the artwork, I will say, is pretty cool.
And I would think maybe even a demon. Could the dragon ones be like, or is like one angel wing a demon?
It's hard to tell, but like, yeah, I think it used to be that it was like two angels, a demon, and a dragon. But I don't know. We're gonna have to go and talk to May. I can't even read that. Whoever draw this thing.
So, I kind of landed on Kaalia. Kalia's been around, I think, for a hot minute. Tuck, she was one of the not original, but one of the first like 2-3 sets. She
was actually in the original branded product of Commander.
Okay, so she was one of the originals.
Yes, sir.
And so that was printed, 2011,
something like that. Yeah, a long time ago.
So, when I started kind of brewing decks and figuring out that I wanted to branch out more, like I'm on EDH Rec right now, guys. I know it's not the most exciting commander, but when you look at the top Mardu commanders, a lot of them were printed after Kaalia. So it wasn't even around when I built it. And I think that just shows how Commander has evolved into giving us more unique legendary creatures to choose from. Like, obviously, there's Edgar Markov, Queen Marchesa, Sir Gwyn, Alicia, Zergo, partner ones, Matthias, Kaysen, Lisha, Jarino, Gin. All of these commanders, even the other Kaalia, all of these were printed before Kaalia of the Vast. After. Yes. So one of the things that I don't like doing, and I do not do, is if I build the deck and I build the color combination and then I have other goals and then a cooler commander for that color combination comes out, I know a lot of times Tuck will actually break down his deck that he had and now build it around this new one. Me, I'm very much a no, because if I did that every time a new commander came out for a new color combination, I'd be constantly breaking down and building new decks just for that color combination. I would never get to more interesting mechanics or interesting things I want to get to. So she's been my Mardu commander for 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. It's been a long time. And she does fine. It's just the reason I thought she'd be great for commander is everything is I really built the deck around Kaalia to where if I lose Kaalia once or twice, I am
yeah, big time. So my thoughts, this is my first thing. So we better be calling Dan Brown because we're dealing with some angels and demons.
Wow.
Woo! That's the guy who wrote the book. That was also the Da Vinci Code. It's a follow-up, and I believe it's also a movie with Tommy Hanks. Good personal friend of the show. So
Tommy.
Tommy. Old Tommy. So I think this deck really exemplifies the theme. Up until recently, I don't think there was a commander that was so prolific and so well spread. And you see this everywhere. That is so like this. There's not. Kaalia is one of those rare cards where when you build a Kaalia deck, most of them are kind of the same, right? There's a few drips and drabs you can take out here and there, but this is also a card that you rarely see in the 99. It's usually just Kaalia and the one.
Unless it's my Game of Thrones deck.
Very, very true. So, and I think, did we both agree to cut that? Or I did.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyways, neither here nor there. I think if people have been playing long enough, I think if you started playing the last couple of years, unless you're playing with a bunch of grognards like the three of us, you probably may have not seen this. But this is the premier all-in commander, nothing else. And if we're looking at the stats here, the first thing that jumped out to me was the land and the color distribution. So I first looked, I thought you had 29 lands, but in reality you only have 33, and your color pie is a little off. Pretty heavy.
Yeah, well, I'm almost perfect on the red. It's just I'm a little off on the white.
And
the white, I'm really herping.
Yeah.
So the black. I think I'm actually good.
You're okay
if you shifted, I think I'd be good on black. The white, though, I'm really hurting on white.
But again, it's also like if we look at the CMC, this is the other thought. It's 418, but it's also the weird part about this, and especially the way that you built this. It's kind of this weird Bomberman thing where the real CMC is 3.5 because that's casting Kaalia 3 times, right? So that's kind of a non thing there. And I was almost going to give you a tip of the hat, but instead I have to give you a wag of the finger because I thought that you didn't include anything on the reserved list in this deck. But boy, was I wrong, because it's between $1,700 and $2,200 depending on which site you're buying it from. So and like half the value is in 4 cards. So
well, I mean, granted, one of the cards in the spice package spiked to $90,
right.
And I do have the foil copy of it. So I definitely did not spend anything close to $90 on that card when I bought it like 5-6 years ago.
Off mic. Which one's that?
Kakusho.
That's $90 now?
Yeah, the foil copy from Kaalia.
Oh my god! Oh, right. Gotcha.
Because remember, when they changed the death rule, it made it spike.
Yep.
All right. So look, Tuck, I do agree with you around. If you've seen one Kaalia deck, you've kind of seen them all. I think the thing where I would disagree with you is that there's tons of demons, angels, and dragons. And I guess if everyone could afford or have access to the best of the best, then yeah, they're all going to kind of look the same. But I think that's the cool thing about this Kaalia commander, because, someone who doesn't have the access to cards or budget can actually build a cool angel, demon, and or dragon deck with a lot of draft fodder, things that you would never even put in a deck. Because it's a 7-drop, that's a 4/4 flying first strike and nothing else.
Yeah,
that is kind of a cool thing about her.
Agreed. And then the problem is you run into a pickle where you it's like my Xur deck where you're like, this isn't a Xur deck, it's just for fun, it's for lulz, and then you play Kaalia and they're just like, all right, well, we're just gonna blast you turn 1 anyway. So there you have it.
Well, I can't remember who I was talking to in the Patreon, and we can move on. But we were talking in Discord, and they're looking, I think, for Angel Tribal Commander. And I was like, why don't you do Kaalia the Vast, all angels? Like, I think there's angels in all the colors except for maybe, I don't know if there's a mono black angel.
Yeah, there's a black white one, but yeah, I think
and then there's a black, white, red one and one that's actually in this deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, that you could almost use black for like the tutoring and stuff. But I was like, that's kind of the cool thing about some of these all-in tribal commanders, even like Morphon. You could pick, like, you don't have to go the whole peanut butter spread. I could just, hey, I'm building a demon deck, and it just so happens to be in Mardu.
Yep.
Don't ask me how I'm making it work. I'm making it work.
Sure.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into this, and let's start with the grains. First card I'm going to talk about. So we may talk about it, we may not talk about it, but there's a little bit of board wipiness to this deck. Whether it's some permanent, some non-land permanents, I don't want to really comment on that. But one of the things I think when you build a Kaalia deck, and if you're building it right, the goal is to get out as quick as you can, get Kaalia to hit the board, and then wipe everything and hurt your opponents. But you still need to keep some resources for yourself, because I did see in earlier builds, I would do those wipes, get rid of my own resources, and then someone literally planes, tap, Swords to Plowshare, and I'm like, awesome, I'm not doing anything the rest of the game. So Darksteel Ingot is a very good mana rock for this deck because there's so many wipes. And it's a 3 mana artifact. It taps, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. You might say Mr. Combo. That sounds like Manalith, but it also has Indestructible. So it's just a better.
Yeah, it's just immediately better. Yeah, and I think, like, this used to be much more of a staple than it is now. I think it still fits obviously it's still way better than Manalith. And the Indestructible Clause is a good one in here. And when you're doing these board wipes and preparing for that, it's good to have that as kind of a backup.
Yeah, for sure. All right. What is your first grain?
So this is one hot off the presses from Commander Legends, and I think this card is.
Ooh.
I think this card's really cool. It plays into like a weird kind of Nambo with Kaalia's ability. But it seems like we might be needing to get this out because we're talking about another pal from our Hellkite brethren.
Yeah.
It might be 3, 2, 1. Hellkite Courser.
Hellkite Courser.
Yeah.
Hey!
4 colorless red for a 6/5 flying dragon. It's a mythic.
It is a mythic. And the cool thing is that usually when you put new cards in a deck, you never see them. I've already seen this card since I've played this Kaalia deck, and it wrecks.
Did it? Great.
So, 6/5, it's a flyer. It's a Dargon. And when it ETBs, you may put a commander you own from the command zone onto the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to the command zone at the beginning of the next end step.
Yeah.
So it's an awesome way, especially when Kaalia costs a lot, because yes, you could, in theory, save up your mana to eventually cast your spells, but it's kind of like a Joda deck. You're not really doing your thing if you're paying the full cost to play your stuff. It's just wasting turns, because to spend 8 mana to cast a okay, decent Angel Demon Dragon and then pass, don't feel good.
Yeah, no, it feels terrible.
It's great when Kaalia's been removed and now it's maybe 12 or 16 to cast her. It's like, well, Hellkite Courser immediately comes out.
Right.
I just wish there was a way that I could and I don't have it in the deck, but I need a way to be able to get Hellkite Courser back to hand.
Right.
Almost like a Perforos type of thing without the sacrifice, which I think Perforos goes back to hand, correct? The new one?
No, it's sacked.
It is sacked?
Yeah.
Okay. So if there was a way I could cheat it from hand, get the Kaalia to come out haste, swing, get Kaalia back to the command zone, then get the Hellkite Courser either protected or bounced, that would be a cool rigmarole to where I basically pay 6 mana, always get Kaalia, and always get a free thing from my hand. I don't know of a way to do it yet.
Well, I might be able to help you because I think that in this deck you're missing out on a critical resource that you're not playing enough into.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Well, what do you think of Hellkite Courser?
I think it's great. Obviously this is like a slam dunk in like a Dargon deck, or maybe if you're doing like some sort of weird rigmarole where you're trying to make a bunch of Wizard Harrys and then you're going to turn them all into Dargons, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's like I think you hit the nail on the head. And I would wager to guess that
turning Wizard Harrys into Dargons.
It's a real nightmare.
Right,
but I think also when you cast this card, if it's late game, you cast this card, you have a 6/5 flyer that hits the battlefield. You get Kaalia out, she goes, and then you're probably going to drop something that's going to be borderline unbeatable, or something that's going to be backbreaking for the rest of the game, or something to punch through that last bit of damage.
I hear you. It's just
also
in Mardu, we're also not drawing tons of cards, so it's not like I have this endless grip. But before we move on from this card, Tuck, I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned this as a slam dunk in Dargon decks, which obviously I agree. Wouldn't this be a slam dunk in any deck that the commander does something very, very strong with a combat scenario?
Yeah.
Think of a Gishath. That seems like it should actually work in a Gishath deck. And then you could even throw that to like Zurgo Helm Smasher.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of decks where the commander does combat damage or an ETB effect. And it's like, you know what? It's a commander that gets removed a lot, but I still need it to do my plan. I should maybe just have Hellkite Courser in the 99 as a backup to cheat command packs so I can maybe get the game winner.
Yeah, this card just reads six mana play your commander, right? And I think there's like actually, here's one for you. What about no, that doesn't work. I was going to say Prosh, but you need to cast it to get the Saprolings. But yes, I think to your point, there are a lot of commanders where their ETB, their attack, those sort of things are going to win you the game if you can just get them out one more time.
Okay, cool. All right, well, my last one, it's a card that you could say take it or leave it for the deck, but once again, I'm looking for things that are like very cheap mana-wise or 0 mana-wise. And this is a cool one because it's a suspend mechanic, which that's why a lot of people are, I don't really know how I feel about it, but I think it's great because if I could get this out turn 1, I'm casting Kaalia for sure turn 3. So I'm talking about Mox Tantalite.
Yeah, Mox Tantalite, yes we are.
It's an artifact and it's a mythic.
You just couldn't help yourself. Mythic from what set?
Modern Horizons.
Suspend 3. It's a 0 cost, so rather than play this card from your hand, you can pay 0 and exile it with 3 counters on it, time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last is removed, cast it without paying its mana cost, then it taps for 1 mana of any color. Just because you have piles of Modern Horizon cards lying around doesn't mean that you have to jam them into decks. It's good for this deck.
It's good for this deck.
It's good if you have this in your opener. And if you don't have it in your opener, it's garbage. There's a reason why this Mox is $4. The cheapest Mox by a country GD mile.
Look, I hear your concerns. I hear your frustration. But I actually think this card...
Believe me, this card has value.
But believe me, the card's great. No, it's good early to mid-game. Late game, it is a bad card. But like I said, and we may talk about it in the hops, I'm doing a lot of wipes. And so it's kind of nice to have it sitting there and suspend. And I can now be like, oh, I could go ahead and do the wipe. Next turn, I got a mana rock, and I'll be kind of good to go. Whoa. It doesn't get impacted. Could there be better options? Yes, but when I'm trying to get stuff out for free, it's pretty good.
I'm gonna go on a limb here. I think this is by far and away the sweatiest card in the deck, without a second thought. It's dripping. You just can't see it in the little orb on it. But I will give you this: the fact that it's $5 makes me want one just in case. So there you go.
It's the next one on the spike.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Tuck, what's your last one?
So this one's definitely bread and butter, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, but Reanimate is just an insane value card. So 1 black, it's a sorcery. I think it's been shifted to rare. It was originally uncommon out of Tempest. You can believe that. You will learn to earn death. Learn to earn. That's good stuff, Bullwrath. Put target creature card from any graveyard into play under your control. Lose life equal to that creature's total casting cost. I think that you are underutilizing your own graveyard, and I think this is the best card to kind of get into that. Life doesn't matter as long as you have 1, and the fact that this is just 1 mana for the best creature in any graveyard is bonkers. Again, this is not a card that we need to go into depth about how great it is, because I think people know that Reanimate's really strong. But I think in a card where your creatures will get killed, your boards will be wiped, your commander will become exorbitantly expensive. This is also just another way to cheat Kaalia back on the field for 1 instead of 14.
Yeah, I love Reanimate.
Your boards will be wiped. Stamped.
I love Reanimate, and I have done it with my Kaalia deck. I want to say the last time I was able to pull this off, I'm trying to remember. I think we were at Mikhail's or my place, and it was opening hand, Reanimate, and let's just leave it at an 8-drop creature. I went ahead and forego my land drop, discard down to hand size, and then someone's like, oh, I think it might have been Australian Alex was like, he has a Reanimate.
It was like, that was good.
I don't.
That was really good.
I kept a bad hand. Yeah. And then it was like, Swamp, Reanimate, 8-drop.
What now? What next? So again, it's a really great utility card, and I don't think we've talked about it yet. So again, I didn't have to talk about Mana Crypt or something like that. So
why not? You can talk about how on this last week's 40 Life and a Dash, I didn't talk about it specifically, but MTG Lord of Leaves can back me up. I think my Mana Crypt in one game did 27 damage to me.
You say that like this is some sort of like bizarro occurrence. I feel like this is every time you play this card.
I know, I'm just bad at flipping coins.
It just burned you.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up the grains. Now let's head over to hops and board state. Big Tuck, start us off. What's your first one?
So I think this is a very coolly designed card. I think it has a lot of wings to it, if you will. But at 7 mana, it is brutally hard to get out. And it is an Angel, if that helps. And it is alliteration because it is a 3/2/1 Angelic Arbiter.
Angelic Arbiter.
Woo!
5-color list, white creature, angel rare.
Well, joke's on you. Not only do I have my glasses on, I also still have my screen magnified from last week. So it's a 5/6. It's a flyer. Each opponent who casts a spell this turn can't attack with creatures. Each opponent who attacked with the creature this turn can't cast spells.
I love this card so
good.
much.
I'd be hard pressed to play it in a deck where you're not cheating out angels or cheating out creatures.
Sure.
But I think to your point, this would be like one of the better options for like the reanimate on turn 1, right? You're shutting down aggro decks, you're shutting down control decks, and getting this out, even if you get Kaalia out turn 2, turn 3, and this is the snapcast. I wrote down on my notes here, I think it's like, this is almost, if you have this in your opener and you feel like you can get Kaalia out within 2 to 4 turns, it's like a snap keep, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's great because it's funny. It's one of those cards that puts people on tilt.
Right.
But at the same time, they don't get fully upset because it's like, oh, well, now, Squee can't like populate with, or, play Reese, get the Greaves, populate, and then swing. He can only get Reese, populate, and he has to be done.
Right.
Then attack me. And the way that it's worded also makes it to where they can't then attack, then cast spells because they have that kind of verbiage in there. It stops people from doing surprise combat tricks, which we all know the Goad loves to do with Marisi.
Sure.
I think. Haven't seen that deck in a while. So, yeah, it's an amazing card. 7 mana is a ton, and we usually do say 7, 8, 9 mana should be winning you the game. And I will say, it's not going to win you the game, but it's going to really hurt and force your opponents.
And I think, like, this deck doesn't have... You can't shift the tempo on it, right? You can't downshift this deck. Like, once you're committed, you're going, right? And a lot of other decks thrive because they can play early, mid, late game, right? They can go fast, they can go slow, and that sort of thing. And I think that this card, more than any other card in the deck, really evens the playing field on that. It makes kind of everyone operate on a similar-ish playing style, right? If you're going to try to...
Absolutely.
If you're going to try to cast a bunch of spells, you can't attack, vice versa.
Perfect. All right. My next Hops card is actually a enchantment that I got from the Gideon Spellbook. It's a card I kind of talked about how the fact you need to protect Kaalia. And this is something that can protect Kaalia, but then as you cheat things in, if you need to shift the protection, you're allowed to do that. So we are talking about Shielded by Faith. So this is a colorless white enchantment aura. Enchanted creature has indestructible, and then whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may attach Shielded by Faith to that creature. So yes, you have it on one of your other creatures, you cast Kaalia, boom, you can move Shielded by Faith, you've protected her. Maybe you're swinging and it's on Kaalia. And then, you know what? I'm cheating in that Angelic Arbiter. I kind of need to protect that. I actually don't care if I have Kaalia at this point. Shift the Indestructible over to that. Just having that flexibility to go creature to creature is phenomenal. Now, I think there could be an argument made, and it's a card that Squee uses quite a bit in his Reese deck. It's that white enchantment. When the creature dies, it comes back to the graveyard, to the battlefield.
Gifted immortality?
Gifted by... Gifted immortality or gifted by faith?
Gift of immortality, I believe.
Gift of immortality. So I think there could be an argument to where, is this better than Gift of Immortality, or is Gift of Immortality better? So that could be one, but I think this is a great card for this deck.
I agree, and I think you hit the nail on the head where Kaalia doesn't win the game for you. It's the stuff that Kaalia plays out that wins the game for you, right? She's just the grease, if you will, that's on the slimy train.
I was actually going to say she's more the Ritz cracker to your meat and cheese.
Yes, exactly. That sort of thing. So I think, this I think is, to your earlier point, I don't think this is a card you'd see in a lot of Kaalia decks, but I think it does make a lot of sense, right? The way that you're slinging the creatures out, especially as you're pulling stuff out of the graveyard or whatever, it's likely that this is always going to have a target. And even if you do your own board wipes or own creature shenanigans, you will have something left over, right? Which is really where this deck needs to be. You want to be down to... the resources are extremely limited, and you just have one or two more than someone else, and that's what's going to push you to victory.
Yep. Completely agree. All right, what is your second card?
So I'm talking about a Dargon. It's not a Dargon Wizard Harry, unfortunately, and it's out of M20. And I think this is a card that people are starting to kind of figure out. That this card is backbreaking, especially.
I thought this card was going to be more expensive than it was.
Yeah, me too. Is this yours or no?
No.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about? So, okay. Well, I don't need to bait it out any longer. We're talking about Drakuseth, Maw of Flames. 4 colorless, triple red, legendary creature, and also it's funny when we talk about the CMC, most of the time, it doesn't matter. Legendary creature Dargon, it's from M20, it's rare, it's a 7/7 flyer. When Drakuseth Maw Flames attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage of each 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. Thank you. Spread out, you idiots! Spread out! Marcedon, party leader, last words. This is one of those cards that I think people sleep on because it's just damage, right? It's just like, okay, cool. So 10 damage to whatever. It's like, sure.
It's 17 damage.
Oh, yeah.
Really what it is.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And again, I think the big thing to think about is I feel that people, and I've got sucked into this before where, okay, cool, you kill 2 creatures. Great. Wahoo, right?
Yeah.
No. You kill 1 creature, the best one on the board probably, a commander. You kill a planeswalker. You stop another planeswalker from ultimating. Or you kill a player. You kill two of the best creatures. Like the fact that it's denoted to any target makes this card so good, right? There's always going to be targets that are valuable for it. You're always going to have an impact whenever it comes down. It just does. It's one of those things where if you're building this as a Kaalia dragon deck, this would be probably the best one of the better cards in the deck.
Yeah, it's great. You know, I like the card for the deck because it is a big 7/7 dude that you can cheat out. I do wish, because even though Kaalia says tapped and attacking, and this says whenever it attacks, it's actually not there when you put it from your hand, tapped and attacking, to get the trigger. So that is a little unfortunate that you don't get your attacking triggers. But I think that's still a small sacrifice for me to do, because you know what this is going to do is if I cheat this in, now people's focus is going to shift from Kaalia to this. I was just what I always totally want. Say that, I always want people's eyes to be on what Kaalia puts onto the board, because in the deck I have 25 targets for Kaalia. Mm-hmm. So you wasting removal or a board wipe even just because you're scared of this one thing, have at it, man. I got 24 other ones I'm going to slam out here, and some are going to be even scarier than this. So it is a good bait card, but you are right. If you are able to get that attack trigger, 7 in the air combat damage, 4 to your face, 3 to a planeswalker, 3 to a Reese the Redeemed. It's going everywhere.
And all of a sudden we're in the synagogue in Bronx on Saturday. I like it.
All right, so my last one, it's a card we have talked about. I believe Squee talked about it with his fog effects. That's kind of like a fog effect, but not a fog effect. We're talking about sudden spoiling.
Oh, yeah. So good.
Yes, colorless, I did. Yes,
black.
I did.
It's an instant, and it has split second. So as long as this spell's on the stack, no one else can cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. Creatures target player controls become 0/2s and lose all abilities till end of turn. The reason I'm actually bringing this up in Kaalia is a little bit different. Usually this is a straight up defense card. I'm using it to protect my board because you're going to swing in and kill me. I'm actually using it as defense when I'm swinging into you. So one of the things that happens with Kaalia is you have to attack with Kaalia. And whatever creature Kaalia is bringing onto the board has to attack the player or planeswalker, I think it's always player, that Kaalia is attacking. So sometimes that forces you with a Kaalia deck to swing at people that you actually don't want to swing at because of the thing you're putting into play and whatever triggers it gets. Whenever it deals combat damage, blow up an artifact that player controls or something to that effect. So what I've noticed is, you know, you try to pick it as wise as you can, but then sometimes people do interaction. You know, hey, I'm going to do giant regrowth, +4/+4. And then it's like, crap, I'm going to lose Kaalia, and you don't really have much you could do with it. So I've actually started to use sudden spoiling to where I swing with Kaalia, someone, hey, I'm going to flash in a 4/4 angel to like chump and kill Kaalia. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Hey, sudden spoiling. Let's stop the stack. Get rid of that stuff. Let me keep Kaalia, because I would rather take 20 damage later in the game than have Kaalia die and now she costs 10.
Right. I agree. And we talked about this on Tuesday about the arch enemy. I think this is a very good example. Kaalia is sort of an arch enemy deck in the scope where you're only attacking people with these giant things. You're cheating out, that sort of thing, right? And I think sudden spoiling in any arch enemy deck is used for this exact purpose, right? Offensive, defensive, saving your own board, any of those different modals. So if you're looking for an arch enemy staple, oh, that's what we can do for when we run out of the color pie. We can go into the themes. I love it. But yes, sudden spoiling, $2 now. Mark my words, this will be in the Fate whatever bullshit. One of the 19 sets that are coming out this year. That's where it's first printed, Planar Chaos or whatever. So buckle in for that.
And Time Spiral remaster.
Yeah, sure. Time Spiral, Planar Chaos, Part 2 of Electric Sam, or Electric Big Tuck's gonna go cry because I'm not buying sealed product anymore.
Well, and then the other thing I will point out that's an advantage with sudden spoiling that people don't honestly use it for, and it should be because more board wipes are being printed for this. You could even use it on your own creatures to make them power 0/2.
Oh, sure.
Because there are a lot of board wipes now to where it's like, hey, it's like that one that you have in your wall deck to where you have to add up total power of 4, sacrifice the rest. Hey, split seconds of my own shit. I'm all 0/2s. I'm out. Or someone says destroy all creatures power 3 or less or 4 or greater. Hey, I'll make all my stuff 3 or less.
Perfect.
So I think sudden spoiling gives some modality in a Kaalia deck just because I think it is to what you said. It's the arch enemy aspect of it.
Yeah, I completely agree on
All right. What's your hot? Last one.
So I love this card, and I have put it in 3 or 4 decks, and it just doesn't shake out the way I want. But I think this card is the backup commander card on a stick. So we're talking about our old pal Quicksilver Amulet. Back from the Urza something or another day, if I remember, Squee, it was like this and Elvish Piper to cheat out Avatar and Might 9 million years ago.
Yeah, that was your only 2 options, and I ran both of them.
So Quicksilver Amulet is a rare artifact. It's 4 colorless, about $6. 4 colorless tap. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Those who examine the amulet too closely have been known to become part of its ornate carvings. Oh, that's kind of bleak. So the notes I had written down here were a lot of people look at this and think it's really good, but in reality, it's only good in ETB effects, right? So a lot of people, myself included, I ran this in my Eldrazi decks, right? But the problem is most of, if not all the Eldrazi's are on cast, right? And there's a lot of creatures that are on cast, trigger happens, X, Y, and Z, right? Counter a spell, draw your cards, whatever the case may be. But because the way that the Kaalia is worded and the way that Kaalia is built, every single one is an ETB effect or just a big bruiser, right? So you're going to get your maximum value out of this. And like we said, it's not uncommon for Kaalia to become too much to handle. And now effectively you're doing Kaalia's ability on an artifact that's repeatable at least once a turn cycle.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's very much like how Fist of Suns is the backup commander in a Joda deck.
Exactly like that.
So, and I think when you build these decks that are very top down or top heavy with your commander, like I've built my Joda and Kaalia decks, you have, even if you're not playing competitive, you have to have redundancy. Because if you don't factor in what happens if my commander's too expensive to play, do you really want to waste your turn doing a Ruinous Ultimatum passing and doing nothing else?
That's it.
When your average, and I've played some of these decks before where I couldn't do what I needed to do, and I'll even make jokes in the opening hand with our play group being like, oh well, the average CMC in my hand's like 7.9 and I'm not being sarcastic because it's like 2 lands and 5 things that cost 7, 8, 9 mana. So you need ways like Quicksilver Amulet or Kaalia to be able to get the thing flowing. It is an artifact, so it is a little fragile because there's more artifact removal, but you're only casting Quicksilver Amulet late game when Kaalia is now costing 10, 12, 14 mana.
Yeah, it's just an all-star, so it's awesome to see it being played in a deck that needs it.
Yep. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up the hops. Now we're going to head over to the East, and how does the deck win the game? And I'm going to start this off with a card that has a special place in my heart, because I was actually able to get the artist to do an altar for me, and it's an artist proof, and it's full art foil from Ultimate Masters. So we are talking about a big old dragon that kind of does a little bit of a board wipe.
I'm sorry, just to make sure people aren't confused at home, it is a big old Dargon, if you will.
That's correct. Yeah, I don't know what dragons are.
And this is the moment I quit the cast. We are talking about Balefire Dragon.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
5 colorless, red, creature dragon, mythic. It's a 6/6. Wow, that full art's gone up in price. I thought that it used to only be like $30, $35.
Oh,
now it's $60.
Mr. Combo, you don't need to tell me. That's what I ripped off my Ultimate Masters box topper.
Well, at least it's worth something.
I know.
Now.
Like I'm actually looking. I looked in there. $56. Oh, we're back.
Yeah.
Have we learned anything from Magic in the last year? It's all going up.
Anything.
All of it. Yeah, exactly. Prices are meaningless. This game is for morons. And just keep building decks.
All right, so this is a flyer, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, so it does work with Kaalia because it actually does deal combat damage, it deals that much damage to each creature that player controls. So that's where I kind of talk about it's one of these weird things with Kaalia. You have to be smart about where you swing her because you want to protect her, but you also want to get max value from your creature. I don't want to swing this guy at Sir Nathan playing his enchantment deck when he has no creatures. And it's just, well, he's the only one without blockers, so I guess I could hit him and deal 8. But then Balefire Dragon's thing gets wasted.
Exactly.
But then there's Duff, to where Duff is maybe playing Drakes. He has 2/2/2 Drakes in the air, and it's like, do I sack Kaalia to get the Balefire trigger? That's where you start to have to play these mind games. But Balefire Dragon, man, this is a game winner if you can get it to connect, because you're basically board resetting someone every single time.
And again, like 2 points to your 1 point. One, you're targeting this person who's playing the creature deck, right? And a lot of times, as we've talked about, creature decks versus board wipes, and this is like a completely one-sided. And 2, I think this again goes back to speak to the power of how this deck is built in Quicksilver Amulet, right? Because late game, Kaalia is dead, you have Quicksilver Amulet out, person to your right passes, flashes in, it's a complete game changer, right? Also, I think a previous point that we kind of glossed over was this is an excellent target for removal because people are going to get terrified as soon as this comes out, right?
Oh yeah.
And then again, it's back to the Sophie's choice of, well, you think this is bad? I got something probably worse for you coming up down the pipe. Thank you for blowing your swords on this. Now we can get back to my rigmaroles I got going here.
No, that's a great point. And you know what else I just thought of would be hilarious is if there'd be a way, and I know this is going to put me on tilt if someone figures it out. If someone could figure out a way to give your opponents copies of Stuffy Doll, but they all have the original target of the original Stuffy Doll. You hit them with Balefire Dragon. It deals 6 damage to each of the Stuffy Dolls. Then all the Stuffy Dolls deal the damage to their original target. Kill someone.
Let's be honest here. First off, you just written your own death warrant. And second off, by original target, you mean you.
Yes.
So you just,
on all accounts.
I love it.
All right, Tuck. What is your first game winner?
So this is another one that I think you do. Again, it's the damned, kind of like we talked about with Power Sync last week. We want it to be like the damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? And you have 2 Archfiends, and I think you might have a little bit more, but I think Archfiend of Spite fills a really niche gap in that. And so it's an interesting card, right? And I think it works a lot better in my Angie deck than it does in this one, but that's a story for a different time.
Yes.
But Archfiend of Spite is 5 colorless, black for a 6/6 flyer. Whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to it, that source's controller loses that much life unless they sacrifice that many permanents. So it's not a play game winner, right? This is what I see as like an incremental value. We're starting to see that flying isn't just the end all be all that it once was, right? And people are going to start realizing that they can't just take 6 over and over and over again in the air. But at what point do you start sacking, right? A 1/1 spirit token with flying that you got from, someone's Forbidden Orchard, or I know it doesn't have flying, so bear with me. Your Drakes of the world, your 5/5 dragon. This starts all adding up. So I think that this is a card that people are going to see, and anything that says sacrifice, people start getting a little squirrely about, right?
Yeah, they lose their stuff.
Right. So I think that not only is this a card that has value, the fact that you can play it for free, and this is just going to be another juicy target for your swords, for your Chaos Warps of the world, generous gifts. That's why I like it too, right? It's kind of a red herring, but it can still do a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm actually cutting it just because I don't have a way to force my opponents to block it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I had a way to do that, I think that'd be a lot better. I do agree it's probably way better than your Angie deck. I initially did put it in here because the thought was, well, I'm going to keep hitting you for 6. Eventually, you're not going to be able to take 6. So now you're going to have to chump with your 1/1s and your 2/2s, which is going to cause you to sacrifice because you wouldn't block if you could just take the damage. But I think I need to make Archfiend, if I was to keep it in the deck or any deck, I think I need to make it more compelling to block. Figure out a way to give it infect. Like, hey, I can hit you twice and you're dead, or you're gonna have to start blocking with your stuff. And then you're gonna have to start I think if you could make it a very compelling target to like actually do something, then I think that actually makes it a very, very great card. But right now in this build, it's just like, okay.
And I agree. I definitely see where you're going. And this is definitely not a card that you want to build around as like a sub theme of your commander, right? So that all tracks. But it's a 50-cent card. I think it's worth trying in your Kaalia decks out there. I just wanted to bring it up.
What's the black enchant Pestilence? Next level play. You play Archfiend. You play Pestilence. You play Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, so everyone has swamps. You give the Pestilence to the next person in turn order. You take their turn. You activate Pestilence a billion times. Archfiend takes them one a whole bunch, and they have to sacrifice a whole crap ton of permanents.
Wow.
I love it.
I love it. This just turns into generousgifts.Kaalia. I like it.
All right. So the next card I'm going to be talking about, it's very much like the Quicksilver Amulet. You kind of need it in a Kaalia deck. It's a busted. Wow, it's only $3. That's surprising. It gets used abusingly in Brago decks. It gets used abusingly in Brea decks. We're talking about the best resonator of all, the Strionic kind. Strionic Resonator. 2 colorless. It's an artifact from M14. Pay 2, tap, copy target triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Triggered ability, if you guys aren't familiar, uses the words when, whenever, at. Its tons cannot be wrung by mere physical force. Only magic of great power can start its eldritch resonance.
The tune-in fork, baby! To your point, this used to be a $15 card, and then they thankfully reprinted it in the commander set.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I was about
to say. I remember this definitely being in the teens.
Oh, easy,
if not the 20s. Obviously Kaalia attacks. We're trying to get as much value out of her as we can. So yes, it's great when my commander can cheat out a 7/7, but how about my commander and 2 additional mana cheats out 2 7/7s?
Right.
That's just that much better. It's an amazing card. You need it in every Kaalia deck. It is a staple. I will say it. You don't run Kaalia without running Strionic Resonator. So
I think the one thing that this deck is gets cornered by itself is a lot of times your turn one, until you have Kaalia cast, your turn is just land, maybe mana rock, pass, right? Like in those first 1 to, let's call it 5 turns on the worst case scenario, you're not doing a whole hell of a lot, right? So just the fact that you can get a card out that's only a 2 mana cost, that is going to set you up for such explosive turns down the way, I think really is where this value. If this was 3 or 4, it doesn't really fit as well. But the fact that you can go, Badlands, Soul Ring, Strionic, right? And you're that much closer to being able to just wallop somebody easily is really where it shines.
For sure. Or even Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Quicksilver Amulet. You guys better watch out.
Oh, there it is. Oh my God, that would be incredible.
And watch, the only thing I can cheap out is just like Sarah Angel.
And then watch me as I slowly kill myself over the next 7 turns.
Accurate. All right, Tuck. What is your second Yeast card?
There's 2 gals, 3 gals that I really like in the Magic the Verse.
Yeah.
We all know one of them is a Planeswalker. One of them was a Usurper and now is a Queen. And another one is a War Leader. We were talking about my old girlfriend, who's also a redhead, Wizards, Aurelia the War Leader. One of my favorite cards ever been printed. 2 colorless, 2 red, 2 white. Legendary Creature Angel. It's a mythic rare. You have the expensive version at $15. I think you can only get them for about $5. Fine, Vigilance, Haste. Whenever Aurelia the War Leader attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Where Ravnica was loose and untouchable, Aurelia is on the front lines calling for war. I'm going to go out and say this.
That's Razia, not Ravnica. Razia.
Damn it. God. Damn it. Yes,
Was aloof and untouchable. Yep.
All right. I'm going to go out and say this. This is a hot take. This Aurelia the War Leader is a Boros staple. If you are running red and white, I don't think there's an argument not to run this card.
And honestly, my next Yeast card is the same thing. It's a Boros staple. There's no reason not to run it.
Nice. Yeah, but we've talked about Aurelia what? 4 times probably. I mean, like, it just works. And again, the fact that you can cheat it out early completely negates the mana cost, which is the only argument that exists for this, where it's like, well, it costs 6 mana. Yeah. It's like, okay, but so do extra turn spells, and this can win it just as consistently with it. The only thing that sucks with this card in this deck is that it doesn't immediately get the kick out, right? Just like everything else we've talked about, right? But the fact that you can set this up such that later in the game, if you have your 6 mana, you get her in, you get that quick combats, right? Get Kaalia out, maybe give her some Greaves, and then the next turn you're starting to get those attacks. That's where it really shines. Even cheating, even if you go Kaalia, pass, attack, Aurelia, the next turn, if someone doesn't have an answer, it's looking real ugly. The fact that you can switch, and like you may mention earlier, the fact that Kaalia and the creature are both going to the same person, the fact that this gives you, again, our favorite thing, modality of where this stuff is going is so critical. So I love this card. I think I checked. I think I have 6 copies of it.
Wow.
I don't know if people have noticed. Also, tapped out is acting very strange. My inventory doesn't work right now. It says I have 1,300 unique cards, which is not the case at all.
I mean, you probably do between all the different sets and stuff.
No, I'm saying that is low. I used to have like thousands. So like if I start, I guess it's time. I guess it's time to go to Nightmare Town and Architect.
Oh, I thought you were about to say what
Moxfield.
Was the one that we used that we
God.
hated? Yeah.
Unusable.
So, yeah, Aurelia the War Leader, Boros staple. You got to have it in every Boros deck. There's no reason not to, because every Boros deck is living in the red zone. Yep. So just why wouldn't you do it? Getting a normal copy for $5 makes it totally affordable. And in this deck, I mean, it's game breaking, because once again, if I'm not casting it for 6, which I would almost rather cast this for 6 and not use Kaalia's ability, if I don't get to cast it for 6, it's going to come in tapped. I'm going to have to go a turn cycle. Tux alluded to it multiple times. If I get to untap, people know it's going to be a bad time. That's 2 Kaalia activations going at whoever I need to go at. And if I have any semblance of a hand at that point in the game, you should be scared about what is in my hand. So I love Aurelia the War Leader. I wish I could put her in every deck. Why can't she be colorless? That'd be perfect. But that's not the way it works.
6 colorless. I'm sorry. I have erred. This is now $15.
Oh, okay. So it is $15.
So I am sitting. I thought you had the fancy one. So I guess I'm sitting on Aurelia Goldmine.
Oh no, the fancy one you're thinking of is in my feather deck, because like we said, it goes in all Boros decks.
Right. That tracks.
All right, so my last one is not her sister, but her. Are they all sisters?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So it is her sister. It is the other Boros one that you have to have in every Boros deck. We're talking Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight. 4 colorless, red, white. Legendary creature, Angel, Mythic. It's a 5/5. Wow. Non-foil copy sitting at $13.
Yeah, I was on TCG Player, $15. Unreal.
Wow. Okay, so flying first strike, and then a whole block of text. If a source would deal damage to an opponent or permanent opponent controls, that source deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. If a source would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent half that damage rounded up. So this card's amazing to get out, because like I was kind of talking about how you have to pick and choose where you swing Kaalia. Having this in hand and knowing this is what you're cheating out makes that irrelevant.
Yeah,
because
totally.
Very rarely is someone going to have a 4/4 flying angel. A lot of times where Kaalia gets kind of hurt is a couple 2/2s, a couple 1/1s, maybe 3 1/1s. So I get it. The 1/1s are still going to go through because it gets Well, I know it's prevent half rounded up, so it's just going to prevent the 1.
No.
If it was rounded down, it would present 0.
Yes, correct. So it's still 1. It can never be less than 1.
Yeah. Well, no, it can be less than 1. Prevent half that damage rounded up.
Right. So if it's 1,
it's 0.
If it's a 1/1, it goes to 0.5, and then you round it up, which goes to 1.
Yeah, prevent 1.
Was that right?
Prevent half that damage. Rounded up.
Okay, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, so 1/1s you still get to prevent. It's basically the 2/2s that start becoming 1/1s and 3/3s that become 1/1s. So it basically protects Kaalia unless they have something massive on their board, pretty much. I've never landed this card on the battlefield and had it not dramatically impact the game. And especially because then that brings in the politics of it, because probably you've been picked on a lot of the game. You're probably less threatening now. You've maybe done some land destruction a couple times. Who really knows? And there might be someone running away with the game. Think of a life gain player.
Right.
And it's like, hey, guys, this isn't for my benefit. I'm doing this because we got to deal with this person, Gisela Blade of Gold Knight. Attack him at will, go in, go ham. And it's like, okay, like he is right. Mr. Combo's at 11. This person's at 55. We should probably hit them a few times before we go back to him. And that allows me to kind of reestablish my board and hopefully be able to have a board state that can last whatever they can do to come at me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, there's a lot to unpack there. So I'll try to be quick with it. Complete Boros staple, no questions asked. Full stop. Also $15, just like her sister. And I think the only thing I will say that you didn't touch on already is that this kind of negates the idea of trying to choose who you attack with Kaalia. Because when you have this in hand and you're flashing it out, especially if it's the first thing that you're doing, it doesn't matter. You don't have to think about who you're going to attack. It's like, I'm going to attack this person because I think they're going to storm off and do whatever. So I'm trying to do as much damage to them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just completely bonkers. I thought you were going to talk about Boros, straight up Boros Charm, which also incidentally also should be in every Boros deck too.
But what's funny is I have done this actually, Tuck, to where I've swung with Kaalia and Aurelia, get out and get that extra combat phase, however I did that, and then actually swung in with Kaalia, Aurelia, and then Gisela, get her out. And it's like, let's get the extra combat and then let's get the other sister out there to double up all that damage. Oh, it feels so good.
You should get the meld girls. It's
I could never get them to work. Yeah. I feel like I'm the only one who's ever gotten them to work. I think I've gotten them to work twice. I have them in my Karametra deck. It's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, no worries.
What's your last one?
All right, so two things. You showed an enormous amount of restraint in not choosing any land destruction spells, of which there are piles. So I'm sort of proud of you. No, to talk about.
For talking about them.
So good job, quote unquote. And I thought we could have cut this down by another one, because similar to Stryonic Resonator, if you're playing Kaalia or Alesha Who Smiles at Death, go ahead and spend your $9 and get your Master of Cruelties. There is no reason not to run it. 3 colorless, a red and a black. First strike, death touch. It's a 1/4. Master of Cruelties can only attack alone. When it attacks a player and isn't blocked, that player's life total becomes 1. Master of Cruelty assigns no combat damage to this combat. So everyone's aware of how this gimmick works. You attack with Kaalia, you attack with Master of Cruelties. They sink in, goes to 1, life dead.
Kill ya.
Yes. So it's kind of like an easy thing. So I got a copy of this from Scooty Shuffles. He just gave me a box of crap when I first started, and I pulled this out. I know it's too expensive to buy just to try out, but honestly, I think this has a lot of wings to it. I think this should be played in more decks.
It has no evasion.
But it doesn't matter because it has first strike and death touch, so anything that they block, they're immediately dead.
But they multi-block. There you go.
Fine, but there's always going to be someone where you're going to be able to attack profitably with this or block with it and then come back into it. I don't think
unless you're cheating it, I don't think there's any way you could ever say I can confidently attack profitably with it, because no one will ever let you just hit them and go to 1.
We'll just put Whisper Silk Cloak on it. Problem solved.
Okay. So yes, if you could get some sort of evasion on it, I think it'd be cool. Also, why didn't they make this a legendary creature? That seems like a miss to me.
It's a mythic demon. It really should be. Especially like the way he's standing. That looks like something you'd find in the pits of hell themselves. So again, don't need to go into too much detail because there's not that much detail to talk about. You swing with Kaalia, you play this, you knock someone out of the game, and it always feels terrible.
Yep. And no, it feels great, and then you literally never use Master of Cruelties. The rest
and then you have a great blocker.
All right, guys. Well, that'll wrap up the East package. Now we're gonna head over to the Spice. Tuck, what are you talking about?
So I'm interested that you left this in. This was so every precon comes with backup commanders, right? And this was the one that came with this. And I
didn't know that.
Are we talking about the same one?
Nope.
Okay. But I have seen Tariel, Reckoner of Souls, actually crush. So 4 colorless and Mardu.
Really?
Yeah, I believe me, man. 4 colorless and Mardu, that's white, black, red. It's a legendary creature, angel. It's a mythic. 4/7, flying vigilance. Tap, choose a creature card at random from a target opponent's graveyard. Put that card onto the battlefield under your control. After death, you face Paradise, Damnation, Tariel, Priest Teaching. So, Marketing Ross has a friend named
First thing, can we comment? The artwork is
totally Metal Man. Yes, absolutely. It's incredible. So Marketing Ross has this friend of his named Corey. Or wait, no. His nickname, I don't know what his real name is, but I call him either Corey or Rory. Doesn't matter. But so he has a bunch of decks that he just plays out of the box. He has like one busted Atraxa deck that has like all the fetches. It's horrible. But he plays all of his other decks straight out of the box. And I kid you not, I've seen him play Kaalia out of the box twice. And both times, even no matter what deck anyone else is playing, he was the biggest threat by a country mile. And he had this thing out here, and this just did bonkers work. Attacked in for 4 flying every time and getting a creature back. He just always got the one that we wanted. He got a Terrastodon one time.
So it sounds like he got lucky a lot.
But I'm just saying, like, I looked at this card because this used to be before they decided to give Mardu actual cards to play. This was like the number 2 versus because it came in the same precon, all that stuff, right? So I always just thought it was kind of a joke. But I'm telling you, maybe it's just blind luck. Maybe it's just the situation. But I've seen this card played twice now, and it does work. Stealing value, gaining value. I mean, it seems counterintuitive, but I'm just telling you what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, and look, I hear you. I'm actually cutting the card, to be frank. I've had the card in there since day one, and it's never done
a damn thing for you, right?
No.
Yep. Tracks.
I would be interested in building it as a commander and like trying to figure out a way to get my opponent's creatures into their graveyards and then repurposing them. That could be like kind of cool. And I will say this was it's not the right phrase of the word, but I'm going to use it anyways. This was a casual catnip card for me because it says tap, get a creature from the graveyard, from an opponent's graveyard, and put it onto the battlefield under my control. I'm like, steal stuff? I cheated out? Like, that's amazing. The random piece is kind of like what I'm not big and hot on. And same thing with like Sepulchrum Primordial.
Right.
I'm kind of tired of relying on my opponent's graveyards to do stuff because when you don't have a graveyard that I can actually do something good with, okay, you're one less person I have something to do with. Wait, you're playing all planeswalkers? Well, that doesn't do me any good. What do you got, guy? And it's Squeeney's like, I got 1/1 elves. And it's like, me. I might as well die.
So I will agree with you fully that this card reads a lot better than it actually is. I will just say that the times I've seen this card played, it was a complete powerhouse. Right time, right place. Who's to know?
The Spice card I'm going to talk about is a legitimate powerhouse. I alluded to it in the beginning. It is the nickname for your bathroom. We are talking about Lord of the Void. So 4 colorless, triple black. It's a flyer, 7/7 demon. $12. Good God. All right.
It's a nightmare, man.
Whenever Lord of the Void deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 7 of their library. Then put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield under your control. Good gravy,
unreal.
Jeremiah. This card is fantastic. Exiling 7 is no small feat. and getting a creature from among them, that's great. I do wish it said you may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield under your control, because I'm pretty sure that they're still the owner of the card. So like, I keep wanting to say Hometown Pathway, but that's not right.
Homeward
Path.
Yeah, there you go.
So Homeward Path would still be able to take the stuff away. So I do wish you'd kind of get that flexibility. So if someone did have it, you don't worry about it. But I mean, honestly, even if it just said 7/7 flyer, whenever it deals damage to a player, exile top 7 of their library, period.
Oh yeah, you'd be like, okay. You'd be on that like a dog in heat. anything that says exile blank from a player's library, you're in.
Yep. Give it to me. Sacrifice or exile. Yeah. Those are my hot words.
It is good. And like, again, a turn for 7/7 flyer in most formats is unbeatable, right? And going back to the original point, this is just another card where it's like, what's the better two evils? What I have in my hand or what I have on the battlefield, right? Because that's the game that your opponents are playing. It's Kaalia versus all.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing is we didn't talk about it, but I have like aggravated assault in here. Tuck did talk about the war leader, so I do have ways to get multiple combat phases or double strike, and so it turns into not just 7, but am I exiling 28 off the top and getting 4 creatures potentially?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you recover from stuff like that.
It stacks up real quick.
I think Lord of the Void is definitely a tuned down version of Ulamog that exiles 20 when it attacks. It's definitely a tuned down version, but people have panic attacks when they get exiled for 20. Like, now you're taking 7 and exiling 7, and I get a creature. Real good.
Yeah, solid inclusion.
All right. Let's get out of the spice and head over to the bottle capping. And as a reminder, there's going to be big tucks and eyes, cuts and adds to the deck that are under 5, under 50, and a no budget recommendation. We just can't talk about mana only lands. All right, I'm going to start this off. And for under 5, I kind of already alluded to it. I kind of already gave my examples, but I'm going to cut the Tariel Reckoner of Souls. Sure, yeah. It's a card Tuck just talked about. And really, guys, it's just, I haven't seen it work. I don't think the play group that I'm consistently in can rely on other people's graveyards to fuel my deck and purpose, and playing stuff from other people's decks suck over webcam. So we're gonna cut that guy for a card that came out in M20. Don't know why I don't have it in here. It's about $180. We're talking about a white angel, Safara, Sky's Blade. So this is 4 colorless, white, legendary creature angel.
Sure.
You may pay white and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than pay the spell's mana cost. So it is kind of nice that I can have an avenue to get out of having to only cheat it with Kaalia. But I'm going to be honest, if I have 4 untapped flyers on my board state, I'm probably winning the game. That's like at least 20 damage. I was
just going to say that.
It has flying and lifelink, which lifelink is helpful. And it states other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. So another great way, hey, I'm going to swing in. I know you got stuff that could kill Kaalia. Let's put out Safara. She's now indestructible. Let's move on with our day. Can you kill a 7/7? Probably not.
Yeah, it's great. Again, the first part of it might as well be flavor text. But the lifelink, you're going to be losing life because people are going to get onto you and start bashing you. But more importantly, giving your commander indestructible in pretty much like 3/4 of your deck, all your creatures almost, except for like 2 or 3. Very, very valuable.
And if you have the really cool hand, Kaalia could have Shielded by Faith on her. You swing, put out Safara, then move the Shielded by Faith to Safara. Now my entire board's indestructible. Right.
Bring on the board.
And that's where I
bring on the board wipes.
Yeah, bring on the board wipes. All right, Tuck, what are you going to cut? What are you going to add for under $5?
So I'm a huge fan of this card. It's one of my commanders, but I think this is a card that you really have to kind of build around. So I'm actually going to cut Rakdos, Lord of Riots. So 2 black, 2 red, 6/6, flying trample. You can't cast it unless an opponent's lost life this turn. And then creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. I see why it's in here, and it makes sense. But as someone who has run this as his commander this was my first of many Rakdos decks, you really kind of have to build around that ability, right? And it's even though it's good to cheat him out with Kaalia, I just feel like there's other options that are going to have a bigger board, like we talked about, a bigger board impact than just Rakdos is. It's just going to be there by himself.
So the one thing I will say in defense of the card for the deck is that every time I've been able to get it on the battlefield, it average saves me 20 pips.
I agree with that, right? But I agree with that, and that's why it's one of my favorite commanders to play. However, I just think it's a little too slimy, kind of a little maybe too greasy for this deck. If I want to go out there, I think there's other options. So the one thing I wanted to do was, first off, bin all your land destruction and just put in lands instead. But
yeah,
we're not doing that. So I think that you don't have enough cards to deal with your own graveyard, right? Kaalia can be kind of a toolbox commander. And there's times like we talked about where wrong card, wrong ability, but it's stuck in your hand. So one of my favorite cards that's a sleeper right now is Tortured Existence. So 1 black, pay 1 black, discard a creature card, return a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. There are terrors lurking in the unseen corners of us all, from Krovax. It's 82 cents. So for me, there's going to be times where your Baleful Strix or your Balefire Dragon got blown up, right? Your Aurelia got blown up, or vice versa. And you know that you have the pieces to assemble what you need to get the win, to put the person back, but they're stuck in your graveyard. So now at instant speed for 1 black, you can swap out the 1 card that's garbage in your hand that you don't need for something that got blown up earlier. Your graveyard is going to be filled up in this deck. It's just going to happen. And I think that you're running not enough things to work with that resource that you have.
So I don't know if you're talking about it in your other cuts. So I apologize if I'm doing any spoilers. But I think the issue I have with this card is that that's implying that I have a creature in hand to be able to bin and swap. The issue that I've actually had the most in this deck is only having 25 or 26 creatures. I actually sometimes don't have creatures in hand, and I'm just sitting on stuff, and I don't know what to do with it. So I actually think that, Phyrexian
Reclamation?
It's the one where you could pay is it Reclamation where you could pay a couple life, some mana, return a creature from your graveyard to hand?
Yep.
So I actually think that would maybe make more sense than the swap. I've seen the swap work, though, in your defense, in Sir Nathan's Conrad deck. Absolutely gross. He basically pays a mana to drain us all.
And that card has won me the game like a million times in Anji. It's like the best card in it. So like I'm on board. I'm on board with Reclamation, right? But I think one of those two, either one of those, if you feel like you have them in hand or not, just having some way to be able to cycle your hand, refill it, and get the things that immediately get blown up back into play is going to be really critical for you.
No, that's fair. All right. For my under 50, I'm going to cut. We already talked about it. Archfiend of Spite. Apparently, Tuck likes to talk about cards that I apparently don't. But once again, I think if I had a way to make it more threatening to where you need to block it or force you to block it, I would for sure keep it in the deck, because I think its ability is extremely overpowered if you can figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on board with that.
Oh my gosh, could you even think of giving him indestructible with Darksteel plate and oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It's the Pariah Shield. Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
That'd be incredible. I guess no one's attacking anymore.
So I'm gonna add a fairly new card. It's a card that feeds into the Kaalia ability. We talked about it. We need to maybe not be so focused on the attack triggers, but ETB triggers. So Terror of the Peaks is a great card for this deck. 3 colorless red creature dragon mythic from M21. It's a 5/4 flying. This part that's flavor text basically. Suppose your opponent's cast that target Terror of Peak costs an additional 3 life to cast. Let's all be honest. Lightning bolt damage, not a big deal in Commander.
Not gonna happen.
But what is a big deal is whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. Kaalia is always cheating stuff into play. Quicksilver Amulet's always cheating stuff into play. Hell, even if I keep Tariel in here, it's cheating stuff into play. And Terror is just going to constantly shoot down stuff left and right. Plus, this is another way, we've talked about it like with Safara Shield by Faith to protect Kaalia. Hey, you only got one blocker. It's a 4/4. Let me go ahead and swing with Kaalia at you because I know I can cheat in the 7/7. I'll blow it up with Terror of the Peaks. And now we go to the declare blockers and you got nothing to block with.
I completely agree. This was going to be on my list as well, but it's too new. I was like, I can find some Fridger stuff that maybe I've lying around that I like. But yes, Warstorm, it's a better Warstorm Surge, and it can attack. Dragon, just 100% slam dunk in this deck.
Yep, very much so. And I even think I have one or two sitting in a binder.
What?
I did not know that they were $15. Yep.
Is this not in your Kneeheb deck? I guess you don't have that much like ETB. You gotta have a deck. There's gotta be a deck that you own that this should be in.
I know I have it in a deck somewhere.
Well, if you have two lying around, I call dibs on one of them.
Oh, no, I think I have one in my Xerus deck.
Yes.
Play. Because, like we said, it's a better Warstorm Surge.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Tuck. What are you cutting for under 50 and adding?
So I've always been on the fence about this, and I feel that if you're going to cheat out a Angel or something, it needs to be something that's a banger. So I'm actually going to cut Angelic Skirmisher. 4 colorless, 2 white.
Oh.
I know it's one that you like.
What are you doing?
No, babe. No, what are you doing? 4 colors, 2 white.
His voice went up 2 octaves.
4/4 flyer.
You're tearing me apart, big time.
At the beginning of each combat, choose First Strike, Vigilance, or Lifelink. Creatures you control gain that ability until end of turn. A Keen Mind wields an army as a Deft Hand wields a sword. You're not gonna be having blockers in this deck. Let's be honest here. You're gonna be going. You're gonna be in the red zone.
I love doing. But see, that's the thing, though. Sorry. Go ahead. Do your explanation, and I'll say why.
If you're gonna be dropping a creature with Kaalia, you want it to be something that does something. This just gives an evergreen ability to your creatures on combats. First off, So let's say you play this first off, right? Kaalia's tapped. It's tapped. Okay, combat. First Strike, Vigilance, or Lifelink. Can't take any of them because they're tapped. This is not a deck where you're going to be having a bunch of blockers lying around. This is going to be a deck where you're going to be ramming into people. And the only thing...
What are you talking about? Because they're tapped?
Because Kaalia will be tapped when she attacks, and then this will enter the battlefield when it's...
Yeah.
This will enter the battlefield.
Sure, yeah, this one will add up a battlefield tap, so it's just like all the other ones that have beginning of combat or attack trigger. So you don't get it the first go-around, but then you get it the second go-around.
But I'm saying that you are building something on this that you can find in enchantments, you can find in a bunch of different avenues, then just playing it into a creature this will come down and do nothing comparative to all of the other creatures that you have in the deck that come down and do something monstrous.
But not every single one of them does something monstrous like we talked about, because like you need the attack trigger.
Sure.
And so look, and I agree, there are enchantments and artifacts that could do what this does and 10 times better for even just a little bit more mana. Think of Chroma's Memorial.
Right.
But the point is that I'm not paying 6 for this. I'm paying nothing and I'm getting it for free.
Right.
And then each time afterwards, I can then choose, am I going First Strike? Am I going Lifelink? Or am I going Vigilance? So most of the time I go Vigilance and then I pick Lifelink for every other person's turn. Because then I got these big fatties
you are hot on this card, and I think we've had this exact same discussion like at least two other times.
We have.
So
all right, well, what do you think is better?
Again, you are going to have a bunch of stuff into your graveyard. Piles of stuff lying around. And you don't have that much destroy stuff in here. You do have a few board wipes here and there. But if you can cast Living Death late game, you will probably win the game. So Living Death is 3 colorless, 2 black for sorcery. Each player exiles all creatures from their graveyard, then sacrifice all creatures they control, then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. Your stuff's going to get blown up, like you said. Aurelia, your demons, all these other things are going to get targeted, picked off, blown up, left, right, and center. Later game, Aurelia casts a gazillion. She gets killed for the umpteenth time. Put her in your graveyard, along with all your other demons and angels that you have lying around. People are building up their board states with their tokens. They're building up their board states with their boars, with their rhinos, depending on who you're playing. Wipe them all out, get all your stuff back. You, if you play this correctly, are going to be coming back with a board state that's going to be unbeatable.
Yeah, and look, I hear you, and I normally like Living Death. I think I like it more in tribal decks because there's a little bit more of that continuity between the cards. So I think the thing that I would worry about
You are running a tribal deck. The tribes are angels, demons, and dragons.
Yeah, but they don't interact with each other at all. It's not like I have a bunch of stuff that's like, oh, all your angels get indestructible. All your things get this. So I would worry that I would maybe set someone else with the advantage. Like, I'm sure Duff would love for me to play Living Death when I'm playing this and he's playing its Knight deck, because he's going to get to then untap with, no summoning sickness and kill me.
Right.
So that's the thing that I would worry about, is I think I need a way, and damn, there's not even really a way you could do it unless you had anger on the battlefield, then cast Living Death. So I need to figure out a way to give my things haste.
Hammer, Perforos,
or make it to where my opponent...
Mass Hysteria, Fervor.
There we go. So I think Living Death makes sense in this deck if I can give haste to my stuff, but I'm going to be at this point in the scenario you're describing, where my graveyard's filled with creatures, which I'll be honest, at the most I think I've ever had in a game is 10 creatures in the graveyard, maybe 9. It's just the deck's hard to get a lot of creatures out quickly.
But you do have to admit that those 10 creatures are probably better and stronger than any of the other 10 creatures in anyone else's graveyards.
Agreed. But the issue, though, still comes to that I'm casting this so late in the game that my life total is probably in the low teens. Do I have enough blockers to make it a full rotation without dying? I don't know. That's a thought experiment I would like to try out, because I think I only have Living Death in one deck, and that's my Nicol Bolas deck. I would like to try it in here. Yeah. I'm just worried that I'm not going to be able to handle... It's kind of like this deck's a go tall deck.
Sure, yeah.
Can I handle the go wide and go fluffies until my next turn? Because I do think you're right. If I could untap after a Living Death, I probably win.
Right.
All right.
That's the one.
We're last one. You're going to be upset because all you've been talking about is I need more graveyard stuff, and I'm cutting a graveyard card. So I'm going to cut Depter's Knell.
Yeah.
It's real expensive.
It's way... If you're playing an Orzhov enchantment deck, yes. This deck, it's entirely too slow.
I would agree. So this guy is 4 colorless. And then you got Orzhov. It's an enchantment. Coming at the cool $2.50 price range. And it is a rare.
This used to be like $15 as well.
Hey, prices cometh, prices goeth. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card and a graveyard into play under your control. One moment, conscious only of a sense of repose. The next moment, hearing the trudge of his own footsteps. He sighed and squinted into the glare instead. Ahead. Yeah, like Tuck said, I think if it was a in-step effect, argument can be made. Argument, not saying it's a great card, but you can make an argument that, hey, turn it comes out, you're probably going to get your trigger at the end step. But the fact that it's one of those massive investment cards, you have to wait the full rotation to get the value out of it. It's just, and I have cast it in games and it has done stuff and people have panicked because like I couldn't get a red card to save, or a red mountain to save my life. So I was like, oh, I'll throw this out and all the cards I've been binning. I'll get those to the battlefield.
Now we're back.
But I think it's too far and few between to actually justify a spot.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I'm going to be adding a card that has an alternate win con. We love some casual catnip. Angel of Destiny. 3 colorless, white, creature, angel, cleric.
Oh.
It is a mythic. Flying double strike. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life. So basically, my opponent's life totals stay the same. Mine goes up. At the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 life more than your starting life total, each player, Angel of Destiny, attack this turn, loses the game. Absolutely phenomenal.
15 life more than what you started with?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, is every single one of my creatures is basically giving me life gain now. And then any of the creatures that do have life gain, like if you'd let me keep that Angelic Arbiter, that would also gain me life. But I look at this as a card. It by itself and Kaalia is going to gain me 6 right there. Mm-hmm. That's not insignificant.
Correct. You're right.
And I think this is a card that'll hang under the radar and people aren't going to waste removal on it. So I think this is something to where my board could get big enough where, could you imagine me getting the double damage card out there, that Gisela. And then it's now I'm actually dealing 12, which gains you 12, which keeps you at 0, but I'm going to gain 12. I can very easily see myself getting to 15 just through the attrition of creatures that I have and how big they are. I think it's cute. I think it's interesting, and I do think it's way better than Depters now.
I agree with all that. And yes, this is definitely like a slimy sort of card. So this is another one where it's like, you're breaking how Kaalia is supposed to be working, and I like it. And I'm also a huge sucker for all sorts of alternate win cons, as everyone else knows out there.
And the cool thing is, it's not even like an alternate. I just win the game. It's just like, hey, if I attack you and I got 15 or more life, I'm gonna.
It's almost effectively. Correct me if I'm wrong here. This is like a worse. It's like another version of Master of Cruelties, right? To some extent, right? If you get lucky, you can do this on a turn 1 blast if you happen to have the perfect hand and that sort of rigmarole.
It's literally the opposite end of the spectrum to Master of Cruelties. Master of Cruelties wants to put your opponent to 1, then have Kaalia finish the job. This wants your opponents to stay neutral, but you just continually gain life. So yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah, me too, man. All right. I'll see it out. I'll see her out.
All right. Well, how about you wrap this up? What's your no budget ad, and how are you going to make me not spend any money because I have to save it for a wedding?
Well, that is not going to be the case. I think you have a copy of this card lying around somewhere, but I'm actually going to cut. So you have piles of removal in here. So I'm going to cut the one I think is the worst, which is Unmake, which is just Orzhov. It's an instant remove target creature from the game. I do actually like the flavor text and artwork quite a bit. Gwillian's favorite trap is the vanity mirror. A bewitched piece of glass traps the looker's soul and does away with the body. So look,
are you what's his face from Batman Returns, Smash Mouth music video? Hey, cowbell.
Well, fair.
I feel like you're doing
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken. I thought you were doing a little bit of a Christopher Walken.
I like how you went with Smash Mouth music video.
And it's Fat Boy Slim, but not even Smash Mouth.
Oh, damn it.
All right, hold on. Like Williams' favorite trap is a vanity mirror. Bewitched piece of glass traps the looker's soul and does away with the body. Not good. But at least I tried. So you have like all of the premier removal, right? All of it. And I think this one's just...
Hey, I don't think I have... Oh, no. I was about to say, I don't think I have Vindicate.
Yeah, you do. And the only one you're missing is Anguish Unmaking, but whatever. If you order the Secret Lair drop, you can just slot that in for this. But, like, there was one demon that completes the Archfiend trifecta that I know you like and are excited about. And this one is a banger. Because we were talking about our old pal, Archfiend of Despair. 6 colorless black. It's a creature demon from Battle Bond sitting at a cool $32. Flying.
30? I have him just sitting in a binder or it's in my cube. One of the two. Holy crap.
Your opponents can't gain life. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. What a windmill slam. You don't want to run Wound Reflection because it's an enchantment and clearly have no need for those. So how about instead we staple it onto a creature that costs effectively nothing, that's a 6/6 flyer that also prevents everyone from gaining life. Can you imagine? What?
Could you imagine that paired with Angel of Destiny?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my god.
But they don't lose any life, right?
No, so technically the way that
it deals damage, they gain life.
Whatever you deal combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life.
So you actually start dealing damage.
They don't gain it. They're just going to lose it. And then I'm still going to gain it. Oh my god.
It's a slam dunk. Like, I think you had this in a Shirai deck for a second. There's another, we've gone over.
Yeah, I pulled it.
You had this in some deck. And I don't remember what it was, but
it was Shirai.
So now this is your slam dunk in here. No questions asked.
That's cute.
It's not cute. There's something cute about it. You're dealing. It comes in, and if you hit someone with Kaalia, you're dealing 16 points of damage to that person. And then whenever they lose life to their mana crypts, they're losing 6 instead. It's insanity.
But let's be honest, I'm the only one losing life to mana crypts.
Well,
I was about to say, you just assume that everybody at the table is playing
You're
mana
also the one who has 15
deal.
copies of it, so that tracks too. But anyways, I know you like this card. I know you cracked one in your battle bond. We all laughed about it, but it's gotta be in here. It has to be. It's perfect for it.
It's a little expensive. It's a little slimy, but I'm thinking that maybe we can find some spots for it. And we also now have a spot in your hearts because we're done with the episode. And as promised, here's some details about our giveaway from our sponsor, Level 1. So initially, we were planning on doing like this full art Planeswalker card type giveaway. But in the spirit of Valentine's Day, they actually want to put together a loving bundle. What that means, I have no idea. It's a surprise. They're talking with their MTG curators to curate something for the collective. So here's how you guys can enter.
I just had an idea. You know how there's like a sommelier in MTG? There needs to, or there's a sommelier in wine. There needs to be a sommelier in MTG. Like, curator's not fancy enough sounding. We need something better. So think on that.
Oh, no, we have it. It's called Lowry from the Commander's Nest. That dude knows every card and everything. It's ridiculous. Well, guys, to enter into the contest, here's how you can do that. Just promote the content we produce, whether you're sharing it on social media, liking it on whatever platform, subscribing to the channel, and hey, even becoming a patron gives you all entries into the giveaway. We will announce the winner on MTG Action 4 News March 2nd and our platforms soon after. And yes, these giveaways will happen every single month. It could be sweet little bundle thing that we don't even know what it is, or it could be a deck we create. It just really depends on what Level 1 can provide. But we would like a 5-star review and a friendly comment on wherever you're enjoying us at. If you would like to find out how you can get a hold of us, here's how you can do that. You can reach me at Mr. Commodore 5 on Twitter, all spelled out except for the 5. Big Tuck, where can they reach you for the time being?
At some point, I guess I'm going to have to start looking at Twitter again, so you can find me there at Big Tuck tweeting.
You can reach our main account at CMD Tower on Twitter as well. We also will have the deck list posted at cmdtower.com/BNBE77. Big Tuck does a great job putting those articles together, so go check them out. You can also find our content by typing in Cataclysm, Master of Cruelties, Drakuseth, Maw of Flames, Tower.com. Squee McGee, if people want to get a hold of you and your Manolith commentary, how would they do that?
Oh, you can find me. I'll be succinct here. Dear Squee at cmdtower.com.
The classic.
I'm at a loss. He only talks about email. I'm just waiting for a pager number next.
He does have a pager. I'd love
Maybe
to.
fax key.
A fax key? What is that?
I believe you used to have, like, instead of sending it to a fax number, you had to have the specific key for that fax machine you're sending it to.
Wow. I was imagining like an actual key to a lockbox where someone's sitting by the fax machine all day and their whole job is to take it from the fax machine and put it in the fax box so you can use your fax key. Well, he does
email,
have a full
boys. Email.
He does have a full studio if you are ever interested in some audio projects, whether it's a podcast, music, or spoken word, which I guess is kind of like a podcast. Ignore that.
I'm pretty sure.
If you would like to actually hook up our sponsor with the orders you're already doing and just let them know that the collective does appreciate those monthly giveaways that they put time, energy, and money into, head over to level1gameshop.com. When you place an order in the order notes, just type in CMD Tower so they know that you came from the collective. Outside of their own storefront, they do have a TCG store, so if you'd rather order there, you can do it there. But like I said, everything from a tabletop perspective, playmats, sleeves, stickers, buttons, couscous. I don't know if they sell couscous, but they are pretty.
I don't think you want shipped couscous.
It could be good.
There was one time in elementary school, I thought it was a container of watermelon. It was in a black Tupperware, which don't ever buy black Tupperware because you don't know what's in it. Took it to class, let it sit in the cubby area, which is just bad to do with watermelon to begin with. Went to go open it 6 hours later. Turned out it was a thing of chickpeas that my mom had, and that smelled terrible. God. And I was so embarrassed because it was like fourth grade. I closed it, put it to the back of my cubby, and left it there for over a week. And it just stunk up the entire
room. Throw it away.
I bet it did.
Well, guys, if you want to know,
You're a maniac.
if you guys want to know. If you want to know more ways that you could financially maybe help Mr. Combo get away from black Tupperware into clear Tupperware so he doesn't do that mistake again, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/CMD Tower. Like I said, we have starts at just $1 a month, and literally, that just kind of helps further that collective growing. But as you invest in 5, 15, 25 a month, we do start giving you guys tangible things from like the Squeeze coin, the Big Tuck Monarch, and even the Mr. Combo number 5 reminder token to our playmat sleeves, stickers, the whole kit and caboodle. So definitely
also, don't forget to invest in Squeecoin. Squeecoin's up and coming.
Yeah,
No
don't
big
worry
deal.
about it.
Just $5 a Squeecoin. It's a huge investment.
Each tier also does give you additional entries over in the monthly giveaways from level 1. So kind of investing in CMD Tower. We also invest back into you every single month. So yeah, go check it out. But if you guys can't help us out from a monthly perspective, but you still want to get some of this cool shiz I'm talking about, just head over to cmdtower.com/merch. Order anything, order everything. Apparently, Squeeze Coin is now a digital physical currency, which doesn't make much sense.
That's Squeecoin. Squeeze Coin is our merch. Squeecoin.
We're working on our big push to the NYSE, so stay tuned.
So
we're gonna figure it out.
Would the stock market ticker just be?
I think
like SQC.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking just Squee. Just Squee.
That's too many. I thought it had to be 3.
Is it 3 or 4?
I think you could be 4.
All right.
I don't know. I'm no mathematician here, but trust me, back Squeecoin.
And of course, thank you to Pink Royal for the music provided in the beginning and the end of the episode, and our video editor T-Coates at T.Coates on Twitter. Thank you so much for all the hard work you do on YouTube. Guys, please go check out the videos, leave comments, let him know what we could do as a community or content channel to help you as a community or content channel. I'm all confused. Big Tuck, Kaalia and her army of doom. We're going on 2 hours. How do you feel about the deck? So I know that you said that every Kaalia deck's kind of the same. I've talked about some ads, and you've noticed some cards that are different than other Kaalias. So do you still feel like this is very much a cookie-cutter Kaalia deck, or is there enough uniqueness to it to where it doesn't fit in the bell curve, per se?
So I guess, it was fun, and I like the cuts and ads. You should definitely put Living Death in here. I guess my bigger issue is such that it's less of like every Kaalia deck is cookie cutter. It's more of like they all do, even though you're subbing out different cards, it still kind of runs the same way, right? Like there can't be a Kaalia deck that, like, the one thing that would be wild if you were like, I play a Kaalia deck that doesn't need Kaalia, she just helps, right? That would be something that'd be crazy to see. That being said, I think there are some good cuts in here that you have, like some deeper cuts, especially in terms of the ways that you have protection, especially as the way that you have your redundant effects, that sort of thing. It was fun. It was really fun to go to, especially because even though she's not on the reserve list, Kaalia is 100% a piece of Commander history.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And I think it's one of those things, and it's hard for me to get my mind wrapped around, because I think, Tuck, you've said I'm definitely the epitome of the top-down player. Mm-hmm. Like, every deck I build, it's like, what does the commander do? I'm doing everything off of that. And the deck really only functions decent if I have it out there. So it kind of makes sense. That's definitely how this build is. The deck does not function without Kaalia at all. Let me tell you, that's happened, whether I get land screwed or blow up my own lands too early, and then someone removes Kaalia. So I am excited for some of the ads because I do have them laying around. I think this is a deck that I could probably honestly do with a few less big bangers and a few more protection type of effects, like a Teferi's protection I don't have in the deck.
Stuff, sure.
That would be something. Even Ghost Away would be a good one for the deck. So I think there's a lot of stuff I could do to this deck. It's just, as Big Tech knows the challenge, having 30 plus decks, you just don't tweak all your decks to perfect optimization each time. So that's why this is always fun. Yeah. But it is a deck that I will say is very, let's call it end of the night. We're in a few. Don't really want to think. 100%. Let's
okay, do I have 4 mana in my opener? Yeah, okay, we're good. Here we go.
Well, I think that's going to wrap up the episode, everyone. Till next time.